for it.
It is early. Well, I say it's early, and I'd normally be halfway through my work shift right now.
Up. There. Okay, looks like we're live.
Oh no. Not viewers.
Oh no.
I said we are live, not that we have viewers.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
Well, way to get my hopes up there, fuck darn jeez.
I'm sorry. All right. I think I did the recap last time. Don't everybody jump at once.
I mean, I don't need you to jump, I need you to recap.
Any takers? I mean, I can do it again.
Like, go for it if you want to.
Okay, well, last time was a lot of technical detective work. We cordoned off the site of the murder, spoke with several of the witnesses. I need to fix my hotkey because I'm making my Google Drive thing break whenever I try and talk. Oh god. I actually can't check my notes because my Discord hotkey just straight up deleted my notes. One sec. Technical difficulties. Please stand by.
I feel like that's going to be a running problem here.
Well, we made our way to the realm of Kuzunoha, if I remember correctly, was her name.
Mm-hmm.
The resident fox god person. Because somebody else was dead, and it happened there. What was her name? Shalom?
Shaylon, yes.
Yes. And I must once again apologize if I get the pronunciations here wrong.
I wouldn't worry about it. Most of them are intentionally wrong anyway.
Fair point. Yeah, she was killed apparently with her own weapon, a sort of spear thing. And from what we could find out via surveillance footage and everything, by the same person who killed Nordrun. And
it was the gnomes.
He didn't look very gnomish. Little tall for gnome. We talked to a lot of people. Did, like already said, lot of detective work. I'm sure we look very professional and stuff when we did it. And these people are not at all regretting hiring us to do this job. And after finding out a lot of things, like apparently somebody is doing a Dragon Slayer thing on the station. We decided to set out and talk to a variety of different peoples.
Well, not specifically a variety. We're still going. There are 3 prime suspects that we were given, quote unquote, from Suseno.
Or no, that was the killer's name. What was the other dude's name?
I'm sure I wrote it down.
Nobunga? Nope. Nobun.
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 You're thinking of Nobunaga, which is a different person.
I almost said it.
He has no boons. He got none during character creation.
Yep. He's so Mars code that he has no boons or faults.
Wow.
He's very average. Well, I think
You're very simplistic.
If you told it to his face, he'd probably get angry. So.
And yeah, he has a sword. I kind of don't want to
Good
piss
point.
off the guy with.
Good point. Good point. Don't piss off the guys with sharp bits of metal on them. But yes, they were. Yes, I wrote it down. Yeah, we were well, not outright told, but you know, these might be persons of interest. Dark Sky, another of the lords and ladies around here. Radadusk, who we were talking to anyway, because he probably knows how to get around this place. Especially one of his children, Hephaestus, and somebody just called the Serpent. I don't think we actually know anything else about this individual. At least I didn't write anything down.
Presumably, they're a snake.
Interesting
I'm helpful.
theory.
Detective experience at work.
Quote unquote work.
All right, and I threatened to suggest we split the party.
Well,
this
this
is
is going to
going
end
to
in
go well.
tears.
Well, now the question becomes, who do you go to first? You have several potential leads. You could split the party, but that might make you vulnerable for being picked off if the killer is aware of your intentions. But you'll probably cover a lot more ground much more quickly.
By the way, what I do in, like, I'll probably went down like a medicine track to see like the cause of death. But can he find any other different markings or?
Yes, we covered that in the last episode. We didn't get specifically into that during the recap. I'll give you the shorthand, though, for the things that Dr. Riss did in your absence. They checked the body for the time of death, the cause of death, and anything else. One of the things that they found is that the individual was poisoned, and that the poison was apparently coated on the weapon used to murder them. This may have been paralytic, neurotoxic. It's difficult to tell, and from everything that your character could divulge, the only way to get better information on that is if they actually went and found some medical instruments to run the chemical testing on it. Otherwise, all you know is there's some kind of toxin on there.
All right.
And that's going to be stop one, regardless of what we do next.
Yeah, you kind of do need to go there.
Yeah, I imagine like my character would just pick some of the poison in the vial.
Well, you guys are handling the murder weapon in question.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
Though that isn't a bad idea, I'm just saying you guys have access to the murder weapon. You're the ones who are taking it to there and whatnot. You'll probably have to give it back later, but for now,
Yeah.
you're in
Yeah, I'll
charge of
probably-
all the evidence.
Like I would probably put like a good amount of poison to a few vials or so.
There's not enough for that.
One vial.
There's enough for a sample, my dude.
Yeah, just
You're
one thing.
greatly overestimating how much is left over on a weapon and not in the body.
Yeah, dude, we're talking like a Q-tip scrub levels.
All right.
Yeah.
Fine.
Trace amounts. I mean, granted, modern technology is enough to pick up trace amounts, but you know, so
Exactly. It's more than enough to get the information. The problem is, without the instruments necessary, you're not going to be able to get that information. So now you have to go to the medical wing, blah, blah, blah. So,
Yeah.
Are you guys agreed or whatnot that, yes, that is the direction you want to go first?
I would agree because trace DNA and trace neurotoxins or whatever sort of toxins are going to be a lot more time perishable than any other.
Also, fingerprints.
Fair point. Fair point.
So you're going to head to the medical wing first?
Yep.
Alright. Well, I admit openly and honestly that I do not have a map prepared for the medical wing.
That's okay, we got imaginations.
That is
Yes.
okay.
Always theater of the mind, Ed.
You only need a map if you're going to shoot at us. So this works to our
Oh.
advantage.
Or, you know, in case I want to be particularly impressive.
This is true.
That said, as you go through the white and golden halls of the Empyrean, you notice that more and more vectors you aren't familiar with notice you and seem to take particular note of where you're going. However, nobody stops you, and in the case that you did get lost at any point, people were more than willing to help. As you step into the medical wing, for once, something looks normal. This might as well be any stereotypical progenitus hospital wing. Admittedly, it's a little bit larger than you might be accustomed to, but it also is a little bit more cramped. The spacing and for various beds and just the wide variety of medical equipment that seems to be very particularly specialized above and beyond what would normally be required.
And Dr. Lucifer now starts to feel a lot more comfortable in his element. Because progenitus.
Yes.
As you enter, a nurse shark who seems to be fairly tall, but doesn't seem to be, well, all that odd. She doesn't seem to have any strange colorations. She doesn't seem to have anything that marks her out aside from being a standard vector.
Haha, nurse shark. Sorry.
She's aware of the irony.
Daxon is not going to point it out because that would be rude. Though he is going to be, like, giggling internally.
Hello, my name is Hanai Mano. A pleasure to meet you. You may call me Dr. Mano. I take it you are the ones doing that little favor for Lord Thoth?
Yes. Dr. Lucifer.
Pleasure to meet you. Now, I'd love to be of more assistance to you, but I have people to tend to. Somebody got another sword through the stomach this week. That's twice this month. You hear a groaning from one of the beds further in. You can complain all you want. I have no mercy nor pity. You challenged him.
Is this number of casualties unusual in nature or quantity?
Yes and no. It depends on who we're talking about and when. If you're talking about Nordrum's lunkheads, she says with a fair amount of venom, then this is fairly common. Usually they don't have a sword sticking a good hand span or so through their stomach, but they do get into a few scrapes. No one ever gets really dismembered. They're usually pretty careful about that. They're not supposed to go for lethal, but accidents like these are fairly common.
Right. Let us know if there's anything we can do to assist. We're here to analyze some evidence. We'll try and stay out of your way.
It's okay. I understand. I'm not a native born either. Technically, I'm only here on contract.
Really? Huh.
Really?
Like us then.
I'm just another foreigner. Not here, just here for an extended stay, doing an internship. See, I'm trying to get a specific degree and specialization on blips and bioprobes, and this is where you get it.
Well, that's true. Working on the Empyrean gets you a lot more specialization.
Exactly. Yeah, I've been told it's comparable to a exotic pet doctor on Venus. I wouldn't say they're wrong. Now, if you excuse me, I've got a sword to extract.
If she pulls the sword out, does that make her queen?
Really? Sword of the Stone?
Yeah, it's just sword in
Well,
the
it might be
gallstones.
lodged in his kidney stones, or his gallstone.
Oh, God.
We'll find out, won't we?
Yeah.
Oh, and if I'm not available, feel free to talk to one of my assistants. Careful of the drone. He's not all there. He's an old model.
I see.
With that, she disappears into the pristine depths of the hospital wing. You now have more or less the run of the place to yourselves. It isn't made all that comfortable, though, by occasional groans and muffled screams from the back room.
Well, time to steal a crash cart and surf it down the hallway. No. That is not what
That's your
Daxon does.
favorite scene from Scrubs. Let's go.
Look,
Yeah.
I would, like Dr. Lucifer would just look at him and say, "Don't do it."
Eagle.
Master.
Right.
Alright.
Sorry. No,
Besides,
Daxon
you
is
do that
going
with
to
wheelchairs, not
politely.
with crash carts.
Yeah, Daxon is going to very politely try and stay out of people's way and assist wherever he can.
Aside from Dr. Mono and apparently 2 other assistants, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of activity in here.
That's actually like the first reassuring thing that he's seen since his landing. Like, their medical wing isn't crawling busy. This is amazing. He'd expect to have like
don't murder each other regularly.
his first thought was, I'm surprised to not see like half a dozen beheaded corpses on medical slabs. Like, oh no, those were just failed aspirants. Yes, he has a slightly condescending view. No, that is not very nice.
Newsig just had an idea. A bad idea, but an idea. So
Right.
apparently swords through the gut are a little bit more common here than we thought, based on the nurse's talkie thing.
Yeah, but she said it was a challenge.
Yes. I'd like to go talk to the person with the sword in the gut.
I would recommend not to, since she's working on him.
Oh, it's just talking.
You might be disrupting her work. I would recommend not to.
And that is your recommendation.
I'm telling you, if you try to disturb her, she may hit something vital when extracting.
Oh no, I don't want to talk to her.
The facepalm. It was palpable.
Cecily is keeping out of this all. This is out of her expertise. She's just standing on the sidelines waiting until something comes up she can help with.
Look, I figure if this dude got stabbed to the gut with a sword, that means he was probably in a melee fight, probably with another sword. And maybe they might be able to help us find out who made this one.
I imagine they have a lot of individuals manufacturing swords. Swords are kind of a... Jackson kind of waves his paws indistinctly, a thing around here.
True, but every craftsman has a signature and a style.
Then
You-
we should
are you
probably speak
referring-
to...
If I might interject for a minute, are you referring to who crafted the Naginata?
If that's a murder weapon, yes.
You
Yeah, we already
know
know
who
that.
made that.
You already know.
That's already known for fact knowledge. That was one of Nobun's works. And
Yep.
and anyone who makes anything else was High Festus. Anything that someone else doesn't make generally comes through him, which means it comes through Radadosk at one point or another.
Notepad ate my notes again. Okay.
It's okay.
I now want to name a, like, one of those PDI, the personal data interface AI's notepad.
I mean,
It's just an excitable puppy that occasionally eats my homework.
Occasionally?
Okay, all the dang time, but, you know.
Anyway, I'm gonna try and go and try to extract information from the poison from the Naginata.
That sounds like a good idea.
alright. It's not that difficult to find the equipment necessary to do so. Everything is very neat and orderly, and most of it's done according to standard Progenitus protocol. Not every little detail is exactly where you might have put it, but it's pretty easy to navigate.
Yeah, it's there nonetheless. Hmm. I would like to, wait, is there any role involved in this?
Actually, now that I think about it, yeah, I would like a roll. That would actually be a smart thing to do.
Smart.
Mind exert medicine?
Let's see. Let me think for a minute. Yeah, that should work actually. I mean, science would also work. But,
Like, I have a boon in either of those, so I go with medicine since it's my higher one. So, 1d8 plus 1d12 plus 2. If I think about this right. D8 or D10? Never mind, it's a D8.
Hmm.
Teen.
Somebody's playing like folk fiddle and clapping outside.
Wait, do I add my medicine proficiency in this? Never mind.
There we go. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
You guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I need to roll a D10, not a D8.
No, you did right.
Okay.
You're fine. The long and short, if I remember right, we weren't having tool bonuses though. Did I?
No,
Am
I
I
didn't.
misreading that roll?
I didn't hear you say like doing a tool.
Well, yeah.
No, that
No.
that is correct. No tool bonus.
Okay, and I'm not seeing one. That is correct, right? I'm just making
Yes.
sure that.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Yep. Tool bonuses are like 1, 3, 5.
And 5.
That's a trait bonus.
Yeah, I'm gonna trade for no wait. Body athletics is 2. Stat die plus proficiency die. Stat die.
I love it when folks forget to close my door all the way.
Mhm.
Anyway, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm specifically not looking at the rules at the moment because I want to make sure I remember them properly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have a 3 in medicine,
Well,
so
depending on the difficulty of the check, the
Mhm.
the dice rolled and everything was correct.
Okay, cool. That's all I needed to know. That's what I need to know. So the long and short of it is, it's not that you can't find the information. It's just going to take too long for you to viably get it handily. In other words, you have to leave it to Dr. Mono or one of her assistants to get you the results. Everything else is too... Essentially, the trail is getting colder the longer you take in here. And if you sit here and wait for the results of this, you're not going to be able to follow up rapidly enough to actually pull through. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I'm gonna ask one of the assistants and tell them that to contact me when the results of the analysis are complete.
Alright. They wave a hand at you and say, yes, we'll get to it. But, damn foreigners.
How rude.
It takes you a moment before you realize, oh, that was the drone. It's probably what she's talking about.
Interesting.
Of course. Anyway, so well, we're done here for the moment. Shall we continue the trail?
Go ahead. Where are you headed next, folks?
Okay, so we wanted to talk to Reddidosk. and Thoth's assistant, correct?
Yeah.
I still think we should split up, cover more ground.
But we
I
can
mean,
pick,
sure. It's not like, there's only one person. We can split up into groups of 2.
yeah, but what if the person has helpers in this?
What if the
In
person's
Empyrean.
really badass?
Well, then even all 4 of us together wouldn't be able to stop them now, would we?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, fair. Honestly, Daxon isn't really, in character, isn't really worried about the risks of splitting up. He's more worried about the risks of we get a call to a crime scene or a breakthrough and half of us are out of contact.
Don't think you're ever really out of contact on this station. And yes, Cecily is assuming that because usually on space stations you aren't. So space stations have pretty good communication coverage.
At
Daxon
least
shrugs.
within itself.
You aren't wrong. I'm just being paranoid. So, split up or stick together?
I say split.
Very well.
I'm for splitting as well.
Well, looks like we don't have a choice, do I?
Whiner.
I'll go back and speak to Lord Thoth's assistant. Although, actually, it was you two that spoke to him last time, so I should probably go speak to Radadosk since you've already built a rapport.
I'll go talk to Hank.
Okay.
So, I'll go speak to Radadosk.
I'll probably come with Daxon.
Very well.
All right.
Okie dokie. Alright, so let me see.
So is we have to use the pictogram things to find the different lords and stuff. Does that mean Radadosks are going to be nuts and bolts?
You know,
Or bolts and bolts.
you say that as a joke, but it's literally an acorn with a gear slapped in the middle.
Ha ha! I was right. Detective skills.
Right.
I don't know if that's detective work or, simple logic.
So it's logic.
I use my my really good detective brain. The
I'm a
detective stuff.
genius.
No, it's simple logic.
No, it's the science of deduction.
The science of deduction. There's no point where I'm not making fun of that. Alright, that said, it is difficult to find your friend Radadosk. If it's okay with you, we'll start there.
Sure.
Sure.
Okay. And now you are once more down at the bottom of the spire. Those of you who aren't in the scene, please move off to the right-hand side over where Percival is. That'll make things a little bit easier for me to make sure I know what's going on and where. Can't keep track of everything.
Fair enough. Dawn Lizard.
Alright. Well, now that you're back towards the engineering and shipping and basically anything that isn't actively used by everybody else in the Empyrean, it's such a stark difference. The utilitarianism that's so evident everywhere on this level of the Empyrean is a far cry away from everything else above you. This has no frills, no nonsense, purely function over form. Though that doesn't necessarily mean it's unappealing. As you move down, you can clearly see vectors of various body types working, and generally pretty easy to recognize workflows that might have allowed them to blend into almost any other place in Seoul. Other than the hospital wing, this is probably the most normal section in the entirety of the station so far. You don't see your large squirrely friend, though.
Huh, this section almost looks like an IRPF ship. Almost feels like home. Alright, I'm gonna look for the least busy looking person here to flag down for assistance.
A nearby weasel seems to be free.
This adorable pink one?
More or less, yes.
Alright, I'm going to approach. Just kind of wave to flag them down. Say, excuse me for a moment. I'm looking for Lord Radadosk. We're the investigators hired.
Oh. Oh, well, hi. He's in the tunnels. He should be back shortly.
The tunnels?
What you need to... Oh, it's part ventilation system, part quick space for any of the engineers who work on the insides of the ship and the stations. It's a design that the Lord Radadosk made himself. Part of what makes the Empyrean function so well, you know, everything's interconnected. Like, you know, Dark Sky's biome is directly over Scylla's. So the water that comes from his is cycled through a filter, then comes down through there, and then through Scylla's is filtered out to most of the rest of the Empyrean.
Interesting. And then, out of character, was this the same kind of tunnel network that had the grate pried off?
Correct.
Interesting. Who all has access to these tunnels?
Anyone from engineering. I can get in them, but I technically don't have the clearance. I see.
Right.
Depending on how many levels, depending on the engineer, you were only allowed so many levels up. Because one of the things that we're supposed to do is not be seen. Our work is supposed to be subtle. So we have to know everything, and as we get higher up, and as we gain clearance to go further up the tree, as it were, the more it relies on us being incredibly fast at what we do, and the more we have to know the systems like the back of our hand. Now, don't get me wrong. On the levels I'm cleared for, I'm one of the best. But I haven't passed the tests for the upper levels. I still have an apprenticeship there.
Fair enough. Again, out of character, the thing that was pried open, it was obviously a forced entry. It wasn't like, you know, somebody used their engineer ID and got in.
Mm-hmm. It was very clearly physically forced. And while you didn't necessarily notice a ID card slot or, you know, a toggle spot or anything like that near it at the time, it would stand to reason that you could probably find something like that, or at least ask them, see if that was the case.
How does one gain access to these tunnels? Presuming someone was outside engineering, would you have to force your way in physically, or would there be systems that you could hack into to open the doors?
Now, mind you, the only reason I'm answering these questions is because you're working for Lord Thoth, and he has a good relationship with our Lord. So, without breaking any protocol, how do I answer this question? Yeah, basically, if you don't have one of our... If you're not in engineering, you don't know how to get in and out of the tunnels. And if you do, you've either bribed somebody or stolen that information. And if you haven't done either of those, you're probably one of the stronger children here in the Empyrean. See, here's the thing, is like, only the strongest of the hopefuls and some of the more physically minded children would be capable of that. Anyone who gets up to, the Pantheon or whatnot, usually is too big to fit inside of the tunnels anyway, or is so strong that that kind of security measure doesn't mean anything, and they could just tear it apart. Not that they want to, as that would, significant enough damage could potentially cause the entire biome that they're in to collapse, or at the very least to cause it to unbalance. And when that happens, we have to pull everyone out, shut it down, reboot the whole darn thing, make repairs. It can particularly weeks to months depending on the damage.
Understood. And I take it navigating these tunnels isn't easy. It doesn't sound like you exactly publish the maps publicly.
Unless you're in engineering or, somebody else with special permissions, which there are a few here and there. Some of them we don't like, but hey. Yeah. If you've got the right permissions and the right clearance, you can get maps, but they're only temporary. They'll only last you for maybe an hour, if that, and they're only for certain sections. You have to go to each quote-unquote checkpoint in the main halls and check with one of the folks who have access to that sort of security clearance, and then you have to enter in your own security stuff. Basically, it's a huge hassle unless you already know your way around.
Noted.
Oh. Listen. You see her rather large ears perk up. That'd be him. He's on his way. At first, it's a little difficult to make out, but then you start hearing it. A metallic skittering noise coming from over your heads. It's a little bit hard to pinpoint in the large open space of the docking bay, but it's still unmistakable. Eventually, a overly large squirrel drops down from one of the vents nearby.
Does the vent automatically shut back in?
Radadosk, in his peculiar vernacular, greets you and says, "I heard you were looking for me. What can I do for you?"
You'd be correct. We're here to cross-reference some
Other
interesting evidence we found regarding the two murders.
Oh? And how can I help you?
We believe that, or at least we have evidence that points to the fact that somebody has been either stealing information and equipment from engineering or has access to it. I'm inclined to say recent interviews have pointed me towards the former more than the latter.
Though it does seem that possibly that the person involved in this has more knowledge of the tunnels.
Well, if somebody was able to get a hold of the maps, then yeah. If they got the maps, they could get their way through. It only lasts them a few hours, depending. But yeah, they could find their way around. That's a
Yet
bit of a pickle.
Yet entry to the tunnel was forced, not... There was no easy access.
So they may have stolen the maps, but not gotten clearance. And if you're able to get the maps long enough, you could probably make a hard copy of the data. Huh, that's a real cheeser, that is.
Yeah. And there's no clean way to write security protocols. There's always loopholes, but, well, glad we could find that one for you.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. That's kind of typical. Some idiot's always trying to do something. A good squirrel's work is never done. Well, other than the forced entry and potentially stolen maps, I'll get some folks on that, see what our logs have. While our security might not be the tightest on the Empyrean, it is the most logged. So it makes it real easy to track whenever somebody does something stupid.
Like, say, abscond with fireproof equipment.
Exactly like that. See, every now and again, one of the other lords, the nutballs, they think I'm crazy. They will want to decide they want to breathe fire at somebody or shoot lightning or some other nonsense. So we have to drag out the old armors based on some power tech. It's none of the stuff that I like. I like macro scale engineering. Space stations, dreadnoughts. We don't get too many of those visiting.
Sadly, no, for your excitement.
Daxon scratches his chin and says, you really should get some cross-promotion with Pulse. They're all about the big flashy ships.
Oh yeah, sure. As soon as they can stop trying to pry apart the surgeries I have in my person. That's private business, you know.
Daxon actually physically winces at that and kind of like nods sympathetically.
My eye sort of twitches a little bit.
Well, I mean, you don't want people, all sorts of people who don't really know you know what your bits are made of, don't you know? That's right trouble, that is. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Fireproof and equipment, you say?
Yes. That's what we believe that the,
Well, we have plenty of that, especially when the engines need a good cleaning, or the heating units. Oh, we've got some massive heaters in here. Oh, the ventilation systems are what help make the regulation. You don't want to know all this. I could go on for hours and you don't care. But long story short, yes. We did have a few sets go missing, but they tend to turn back up. Usually it's because one of the engineers decided to go for some private testing. I don't blame him.
Sounds relatively benign, but all the same, we need to check the access logs, see if the time frame matches.
You'll go poke Zalako for that. He's the raptor-looking one. He'll take care of ya.
Add a character, he's the one with the spines, right?
Yes. Don't let his claws and his rowdy behavior fool you. He's got a sharp mind, that one. Just as soon as I can get rid of his aggression, we'll have a brilliant engineer.
I don't think that the sick of his ass is going to be leaving anytime soon.
I'm just imagining.
Figurative one.
I'm just imagining Radadosk with like a blowgun loaded with sedatives. Just like, he's starting to get prickly again.
Oh, imagine like a bit of a spray, like those spray guns.
Bad, no treats.
Exactly.
Alright. Well, gentlemen, if there's nothing else I can do for you.
Just a minute. I just want to say, just stay safe. Don't want the person after you next.
A secret between you and me, Hornhead. But, I might not be the biggest of the lords, but, I could probably kick you through this bulkhead.
I somehow don't doubt that.
Don't get me wrong, I have no intention of doing so. You're nice folk. But, if you really want to go at it, you better not come into my house and try to do it. Better to get me somewhere all nasty and hard for me to jump around. Good luck on that. Now, if you don't mind, I have been told that there's a ventilation shaft with some idiot lodged inside of it. Something about a bear. If he's been getting to the meat again, I swear. What are these bears? He scrambled,
Add a
Hey.
character. Is that bear's name Yogi?
I'm pretty sure
Or
if
Winnie.
if he was Yogi, it would have been picnic baskets.
Now I want to make an alcoholic bear named Winfred who's obsessed with mead.
I mean, there's
It could
more
be
than
a
one way
backup
to skin a
character.
cat.
Could you do me a favor and stop messing with my fondest childhood memories?
No, we're just gonna screw it all over.
I am afraid that part of that is the name of the game when you're playing in a campaign called Big Trouble in Little Empyrean. Where are the MacGuffin files?
And I got to crack this case wide open.
Alright. So, off to the literally and figuratively spiny reptilian.
Yes, he's
Yes.
a prickly fella.
Yeah, I heard. Old Rads wants you to talk to me. What do you want?
Access logs for equipment, specifically fireproof equipment.
Alright. Taps a large toggle case that's very clearly been adapted for his claws. If not for the size of the thing, you're pretty sure he wouldn't be able to manipulate it. But then again, considering how quickly he's tapping...
Also probably scratch-resistant screen.
Like very scratch resistant.
Alright. These are the ones. They're the data relevant pulled up over on the far side, off to the right there. Do you need anything else?
Are there access logs for the maps of the tunnels?
What days are you looking for? They're specific. If you don't ask me what specific week or days, depending on the cycle, I couldn't find you anything if you were looking for it. Needle in a haystack.
I am going to give him the time frame of the day, the days leading up to and on both of the murders.
That's a wide time frame. You're gonna want somebody to parse through all that information.
That's correct. We're trying to narrow things down from there, but we don't want to emit any data.
Well, here's the thing. If you want somebody to go through the data for you, you're gonna have to trade in some favors. We don't do credits here, we do merit. You familiar with the system? He rubs his thumb and forefinger claws together.
Not too familiar with it.
Yeah, can't say I am.
Of course I didn't explain it to you. So much for the perfect knight Percival.
Daxon kind of frowns because this is reminding him way too much of Spyglass and their infamous Sing.
Now, how much you know about Spyglass?
Here we go.
Excuse me? What was that?
Nothing. Just I have a complicated relationship with that corp.
Whoop-de-heckin' do. So do the rest of us. The point is a similar system. You do something cool, you get rewards. With more honor, more merit. The more recognition, the more honor, the more merit, the more weight you can throw around. Now, this might be physical relative goods, or it might be favors. And
Like-
yes, I mean both those kinds and the others.
So Perseus, for
Depends on
example.
the person you're talking to. Percival?
Let's say Perseus, his brother.
Ah, Perseus? Yeah.
Perseus.
He's got plenty of merit, especially now that Nordrun's out of the way. He's probably going to be taking over as the new lord. That is, if the council sees fit. They better damn well. He deserves it.
Seems like a decent enough fellow.
Also, he was the one that Nordrun was closest to. It would make sense.
Closest to, I'd argue. But trusted most definitely. There's a difference between knowing someone and being and trusting them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean.
That said, if you're looking to pull favors to somebody parse through this data, you're gonna have to earn some merit. You're gonna have to do some dirty work for them. Since you're foreigners, that's probably the only way to do it. Unless you're willing to trade some of your gear.
Daxon frowns, but nods. Sounds reasonable enough.
Now, I'm not doing it. The only damn reason I'm giving you any of this information is because Lord Rad said to. Otherwise, I would have told you to go hit the hay and fuck off. But, that's not my decision. So, you're gonna have to find some other poor sap to go through your data for you.
Daxon shrugs but nods.
I sort of nod. Everything you gotta earn in the Empyrean somehow.
Exactly. Nothing's for free, except the air you breathe, and technically that ain't even free either.
I guess you have more in common with the outside world than I thought.
Ah, hell yeah, we do. It's just we have a different way of going about it.
I can respect that. Fine. We'll let you get back to your work. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, sure. Alright. So, do you mind if we go ahead and swap to the group real quick?
Yeah.
Go ahead. We stole the spotlight long enough.
Alright. Okay, anybody who's not actively in the scene, could you move off to the left?
Splish splash, I'm taking a bath.
About where the nuts and whatnot are.
Just gonna go sit on the log over here.
It'll work. Okay. Everyone in the scene, you are free to wander out.
Okay. Into the library, I guess.
Hit the books.
Well, that's where. What's his name? Henry? It was
Yeah, Henry.
Hank. Okay, that's where he was the last time. Besides
I wonder if he got that list I asked him for.
books, this is.
Probably a short time, but you know,
And
worth
I'm-
open.
I mean, I get the retro appeal, but oh, well, having it digitally is so much more convenient. Admittedly, it looks nice.
Alright. You find several vectors in there. Most of them are up to their ears, quote unquote, in various pages and work. As you go along, though, sure enough, you see a familiar striped tail poking out from one of the shelves.
Excellent. Excuse me. Let us approach them.
Yeah, let's not spook him though.
Okay.
Alright.
I'm sorry, Hank? Hello?
Huh? What? He hits his head on one of the shelves, and a few books pile on top of onto his back. Oh, plastic! I just cleaned those.
I am very, very sorry, and try and help him put the books back.
Oh, it's you. Oh, thank you. You didn't have to help me. I appreciate it, though.
It's fine. It's fine. What's got you so jumpy?
What I've learned. And who I've seen. I'm probably gonna get I'm gonna get eaten.
Why? What's going on?
Wait.
I saw him.
Him?
The Naga. We don't actually know his name. He just goes by Naga or the Serpent.
Oh. Oh. Well, that makes things easy.
Yeah, that's actually someone we mean to talk to.
Him and his brothers, Unsee? You don't have anything to do with either of them. I came to talk to Lord Thoth. Serpent looked right at me.
Well, we probably need to talk to everybody on the station before this whole deal is over.
I hope not. They're nothing but trouble.
That's what murder usually entails, yes.
So, here's the thing. This is what I've picked up so far. First off, I'm sure somebody has already told you what's going on with, you know, Shailung.
Yes, in fact, we were there. Yeah.
Okay. So, the thing that's important is Susano specifically killed a snake. More specifically, an 8-headed snake.
So what you're saying is that somebody got their mythology wrong?
Or they're intentionally mixing things up for their benefit. The only snake of any significance here is, well, the snake. Nobody wants to mess with him. Oh, Quetzal's around, but Quetzal's alright. But nobody hates Quetzal. Quetzal's one of the nicest guys here. But that's besides the point. You see, like I said, Shayla was called the Shining Serpent. She was more like one of those Eastern dragons, really, but if you extend it a little bit.
If I may interrupt, you're not coming across clearly, at least to me. I don't know how it is for everybody else.
I can understand what you're saying, but you're a little robot-y and kind of like
Yeah, there's nothing I can do about that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm beginning to realize that early morning connection is shit for me.
Oh.
Oh boy.
Oh, gee. Golly gosh.
Okay, but sorry for the interruption. Please carry on.
No, it's perfectly acceptable. If it gets too bad, let me know. Essentially, Hank describes how Jalen could be associated with it, and specifically how Emperor Dragons may have been associated with it, and that Orochi was the king of serpents, and so that might have been the connection. But that's not important. It's the fact that this particular death has found evidence of a previous one like this. It's really old, though.
Ooh.
Like how old?
At least 20, 30 years. But it bears the same hallmarks. A deeply personal knowledge of the victim, a robust understanding of the mythology surrounding said victim, and a use of symbology in their blood.
Mm-hmm.
And then the real kicker. Hailing of a dragon slayer's name.
Mm.
The victim in question had been a formal rival of Sir Lancelot, a knight, the preeminent knight. Everyone believed he would have been taking Lord Nordrud's spot. He was the most... While he was in service to Lord Thoth, it was well known that he was beloved by most everyone, and he was one of the children, and he had hopes to join the Pantheon one day. He had gone on more than one quest. He was often called Lancelot, the free lance. A pun.
Really? Like Lancelot?
That's like a triple pun, and I love it.
It made sense for him, and he loved it all the same, but he was also called the Questing Knight. Thing is his rival in question was a dragon. Not Nordrun's size, but similar. He was sometimes called the Gargoyle, or the... What was his other name? Let me... the Great Beast of the Wood. I have no idea what wood it's supposed to be talking about. It was before my time here. I'd have to do more research. But the Dragon Slayer, in association with his murder, it was St. George. Some ancient human dragon slayer who also killed a bunch of other animals and was a questing knight. Not all that unlike Sir Lancelot. The problem I have here is it's much sloppier. It's not as clean. I don't want to jump to conclusions, but maybe that was this person's first, and they've been here for 20-odd years?
That is possible.
That or it's a copycat.
It could have been. It's hard to tell.
Regardless, is there information about this old murder available anywhere?
I have as much of the information as possible here in the computer files. Here, come here, look. See, this murder happened briefly after Sir Lancelot was declared missing in action, his latest quest, it was one that the council had him do. It was a crusade to the Longbow. He was there to rescue one of ours who had gotten ship trouble on their way back, and they had to perform an emergency landing on the Longbow, and then they went missing. So Lancelot never came back. It's believed he either died there or is still trapped, and we've never, so far that I can tell, they've sent a liaison to Progenitus to have someone specifically ask for him there, but we never actually sent a search party. Admittedly, we don't have that many people to spare to do so, especially on a place that's potentially as dangerous as the Longbow. We might lose the entire crew, and considering how many children would have to be sent for that, and how many aspirants and hopefuls, I could see why the council would never okay that. Admittedly, Lancelot's followers were heartbroken. He's a hero. Even, long dead, people still remember his name and the deeds he did. Some thought perhaps he could have helped Zarazet rebuild the entire community from the ground up and help us be better, more noble.
Just a shot in the dark here, but did he have any offspring?
No. It was believed Sir Lancelot wasn't fashioned that way. No one knows for sure, and he never declared any lovers. He was too private for the stuff like that.
Well, at least that's good to know. You can always draw from history. Do you have any other things you want to mention, Cecily?
Still trying to parse all this new information.
Okay, well, just to ask, did you happen to get the thing I asked for, Hank?
Remind me again what the thing was.
A list of, aliases currently used by other major players of the Pantheon that had ties to being a mythological story where they died.
Yeah, okay. There's a few. Hank narrowed the search a little bit to specifically monsters that have been slain, as seems to be the connecting factor, at least in the style of the killings, not necessarily the motivations. There is the Nemean lion, Perseus himself, which was killed by the hero Hercules, who also killed another dragon, the Hydra. There's two different Hydras, but the more famous of the ones was killed by the same person that killed the Nemean lion. If this killer wants to go after Perseus, that's probably the alias they go under. They'd probably bash his head in or strangle him. One of the others is a manticore, a Persian monster. One was slain, I believe, by Gilgamesh, but it might have been another name. It's kind of hard. Some of these have gotten so mixed up. I'm trying to see who else. I don't know. I'm trying to remember who else I had planned for that.
Do you happen to... You left out who the Manticore is the alias for.
Oh, the Manticore is one of the children in service to the Serpent and the Spider. The duo Pantheon brothers. They're never seen without one another. The Serpent never goes by any other name than that title. And then his brother Ansi has a name. that.
Mhm.
Ansi's a great storyteller, but also the self-proclaimed keeper of all rumors and threads of fate.
Oh, gossip. Nice.
He's great for information, but half of the information is lies, and the other half is him trying to manipulate you. Even if it's true, he still wants something out of you. You don't deal with Ansi safely, and if you cross him, well, you meet his brother.
Executioner.
Not so much an executioner, and you're not here anyway, so...
I know, I'm saying it out of character.
Okay. Well, that should give us a head start for sure, although...
Oh, there's one other person! There actually two, now that I think about it. Shoot. I can't remember the name of the monster now. It's in
That's
my
okay.
head.
You can just have Hank forward it to us when he remembers / finds his notes again.
You
I'll
can
do that.
Also describe out of character. Maybe we can help.
I think I remember it. The Leviathan. There's technically two of them, and both of them are Skillas. The Leviathan in question that's probably a danger is the one that looks more like a crocodile. It's a sea dragon of sorts. Looks more like what we would associate with a plesiosaur, but with crocodilian features. Think Godzilla meets Nessie, and you're in the right neighborhood.
I was gonna say, they're gonna go after Nessie?
So there's that, and then there's the lesser Leviathan, who just goes by Levius. You probably saw him earlier. He visits Thoth's library fairly often. The big whale-looking fella.
Oh yeah.
I just ask, is Levius like a pale white?
No.
Oh, because I was going to say
He's
that would
green.
make a lot of sense.
Then he'd probably called Mobius.
There was a Mobius once.
I'm
But
voting
that's
for
neither
Hank.
here nor there. And the other one is the Salamander. He's one of Dark's guys. His real name is Zas, but you know, Zasel's a nice enough fella. A little bit arrogant, but most Dark Sky folks are.
Well, that's a lot more targets than we have people. Which, just out of character, means even if we split all up and had one person watching each, the killer could still strike and we wouldn't even know it.
Well, I wasn't suggesting that we actually watch them, but would be nice to interview people before they get killed.
Now I'm just imagining us like showing up in the home of Dark Sky, and Dark Sky wakes up in their bed and just sees us all sitting at the base of the bed. Like, don't mind us. We're just making sure you don't get murdered.
That's just a huge invasion of privacy and wants to kick us out.
I'm sure that would go over really well.
Oh, clearly.
Insert the Patrick Star. Who are you people?
Yes. Don't worry, we're here for your own protection.
Wee woo.
Oh God.
All right. You guys need anything else out of poor Hank?
Yes, Cecily actually has another question that he might be able to help with. If one was to get an audience with Chief Dark Sky, is there anything in particular to watch out for? Any sort of protocol?
When you first enter the room, don't look him in the eye. Look at the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Looking him in the eye takes as a challenge. Once he acknowledges you, then you can look him in the eye all you want. He won't care. It's a weird habit of his. You might have to go through a trial of combat to get the right to get up to his cliff.
Oh dear.
Yeah, his roost is kind of... Let me put it this way. He's literally a thunderbird. He shoots lightning. If he doesn't want you on his cliff, you aren't getting up there.
That's very, very frightening.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's some kind of song written about it somewhere, but long story short, yeah, you can't just wander in and wander out.
I understand.
No, I think that's probably for the best. I have a gut suspicion we probably don't need to bother with Dark Sky just yet.
I still want to talk to him. He has very personal connections to both our victims.
You know who I might recommend first, though?
Yes?
As an aside? Not because, this might actually be helpful, but you might want to see if you can get an audience with Lady Skilla. She's a lot more personable.
Okay.
Don't let the tentacles fool you. She's not that much of a threat, but if she thinks that you're worth the time, she might be able to get you an audience much easier with Dark Sky. They've been neighbors for centuries. They get along pretty well, and well, there's a lot of history between her and most of the others. She's one of the oldest members of the Pantheon. The only one who's probably been around for longer is probably Thoth or Radadosk. And both of them are competing for right behind Zezarad.
Okay.
I probably said the name wrong, but I'll get back to that later.
Got it. So no references to her age.
Okay. That is very good advice. Thank you.
I still have this sinking gut feeling.
Well,
Anything else I can help y'all with?
If what I suspect about this Lady Skilla is true, then you'll have a very literal sinking feeling soon.
Oh, har.
Okay.
Let me check my notes, but no, that was everything I can think of right now.
Okay. We will go ahead and get back to the other group now.
Okay.
The magic of science! Okay. Daxton and Dr. Lucifer.
Yep.
Hi, that's us.
Okay, so you have gotten access to the data logs, but you need somebody to actually go through them for you. Unless you want to spend several hours doing it, in which case you'd have run into the same hacking problem as you did before with the testing of Venom stuff.
Yeah. I'm going to go find the mustelid fellow that we were talking to. See, because he's friendly and seems pretty helpful. So if he isn't willing to help us for trade for a favor, then he might know who.
Okay.
Doop.
Oh, hello. What you need?
I was wondering if you... Well, I was wondering if I could ask a favor, actually.
Oh, boy.
We have some data that we need to correlate, specifically related to the case. There's access logs, primarily to the tunnels and to equipment, heat-proof, that sort of stuff. was wondering if I could trade a favor for being able to parse that data for us, or if you know anyone who would be willing to do that.
Tell you what. I know somebody who knows everything about the equipment. And they're going to be able to get through that a lot easier than I ever could. You won't have to do me any favors if you can actually get to him in one piece. That'll be favor enough.
The One Piece thing sounds a lot of risk. Sounds risky.
Well, what was that? You didn't come through there.
If you can get to him in one piece, I won't consider it a favor. You have already done it for me by getting to him. He's not going to try to kill you, but, he doesn't like people. Oh, really?
Oh boy.
He's our quartermaster, Hephaestus.
Ah.
He makes all the equipment, and most of the weapons, and most anything anybody else who isn't Radadosk or one of the other engineers actually makes, he does it. He's basically a living factory. The problem is, like I said, he hates people! And if you can get to him and stay in the room long enough to ask him to help you, I might win a bet.
Jackson actually kind of smirks at that. He kind of smirks and says, "Oh, so we're winning a bet for you. Right on. Well, what do we have to do? Some sort of temple death trap or something, like in the action movies?"
Oh, no. You have to answer his riddles.
Oh,
Jackson's
great.
smirk just evaporates like someone slapped him.
He loves old puzzles, riddles, and things. He absolutely despises physical combat. You'd think that's weird, somebody who can freaking take a hammer almost as big as me and smash it through a wall, but no! He doesn't like combat. Not really into it, even though he makes weapons galore. Weird guy.
I can understand that.
So the smirk on Dr. Reese's face whines a little bit.
See, the door we're standing next to, that leads to his section of the docking bay. Nobody ever goes in or out.
Well, that's great.
It leads to his little smithy type thing. One of the tunnels goes to it, and you can't get into it unless you're Lord Radadosk, have the proper clearance, or you get through his puzzles. And since you don't have the clearance, you're not Lord Radadosk. Puzzles it is.
Alright, please no puzzle league.
Oh, and by the way, you won't find the answers on the Soul Net. No cheating.
I wasn't planning on it anyway. Then
Not
again,
me
I'm
either.
terrible at riddles.
Well, the first one's a riddle. I've never gotten past it. It changes all the time. Maybe you'll get lucky and get an easy one.
Maybe.
Suddenly, it's literally the Bridge Guardian from Monty Python. We're just like, oh. We get some question like, what is the capital of Estonia? We're just like, shit.
What even was Estonia? Alright, so are you gonna face the puzzles, or are you gonna get your team to help you out?
I have a logic of 0. I have a mind perceived of 2, but I have a logic of 0.
I have good logic, so
Yeah, well, we can give it a try. Worst case scenario, we get eaten by like an angry warsmith.
well, not eating.
Just remember, the puzzles themselves are only to get access to him.
Right.
Staying in there long enough to Ask him questions. That's the real challenge. Good luck.
Yeah, thanks. Daxon gives him kind of a hearty slap on the shoulder, and well, I guess it's puzzle time, my dudes.
All right. So the first one is a riddle.
Oh dear. I suck at riddles.
So I can either actually give you the riddle and have you guys try to figure it out, or you can make rolls.
How about both? Do both.
Yeah, do rolls as a fallback. I'm interested in hearing the riddle. Because who knows? It might be one of those obscure things that I actually get.
Okay. Let's see if I remember how to do this riddle right. I am ever hungry. Feed me, and I grow. Thirst I shall never know, for if I drink, I shall die.
Oh, that's easy.
A smith is my friend, and steel my ally. What's the other part? Beholden to one, rarely shall I know the sun. For if exposed am I, surely my power shall die. What am I?
Daxon kind of glances over
Very ham-handed.
at the doctor.
And this is... And it... So...
A forge?
Happy little ding activates.
Daxon's ears perks up and he kind of lets out a little muffled whoop.
This is only just the easy part.
I know. I'm just happy I got it right.
The little keypad that you have seen now opens up to a larger screen on the wall. The puzzle's visual.
Oh no, we have to play Tetris?
It's a series of rings interlocked. And it's not just one, but 3 different sets. And underneath the sets, it says, "Free us, and the next way shall open."
Within cells interlinked, within cells interlinked, within cells interlinked.
So it's a bunch
Sorry.
of rings.
Interesting.
Hmm.
This one I will need rolls for.
Alright.
Alright.
Admittedly, the first one was a bit of a gimme, but that's the fun of it.
Yeah. Keeps the dunces out. So clearly failed against us. I'm probably going to be rolling to help the good doctor. If I can.
Alright.
Are you guys gonna try to manipulate the puzzles themselves before you make any rolls? Learn anything about them?
I was going to figure, like, that'd be kind of part of the role, is kind of parsing out how it works without screwing it up or causing something to explode.
Okay.
But, yes, like, kind of carefully fiddling with it. Figuring out the rules, as it were.
one of the things you quickly understand, and this is probably the basis of it, is it's a three-dimensional. Each one is actually a three-dimensional hologram. While you can't necessarily pull it out of the three-dimensional space, it represents such. So these are basically rings that are interlocked in a three-dimensional space. So you can freely move them around and handle them.
Alright. So, roll for that. We have a boot in logic. So what does assist do?
I think if I assist you, I think it simplifies the check, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm not certain. I'm pawing through the document right now.
Alright, so the actual difficulty here, just so you know,
Mm-hmm.
isn't all that high.
Alright.
It's a 2.
Okay.
Nothing super intense or insane.
Just as a note, I think at least right now there's nothing about assisting in checks in the rules.
Hmm.
Alright. So I'll just roll it.
I'll cheerlead in the background. My cheerleading was distracting, apparently.
Okay. While you can't quite figure it out, you do realize that somebody else who could physically manipulate these would probably have an easier time of actually unlocking them. So while you're not able to open it yourself, think if somebody else was to give it a go and come at it from the mindset that these are physical objects you can move around and pull apart in different ways, that they'd probably be able to figure it out. So while this is a failure, I will say that if somebody else wants to try this out, you could give them a quote-unquote bonus for it.
I'll give it a shot.
I'll give him a bonus.
Okay. Alright, so bonus is a simplification on it.
Sweet.
And it's difficulty 2.
Alright, so it's difficulty 2. What skill check is it? Logic?
This is going to be logic. This can be mind exert.
Mind exert. Oh, okay. So I have no ranks in logic, and I have mind exert of 1.
If you still want to go for it, it's okay.
Okay, well, I'll give it a bloody go. So that would be a what? A D10, a D8 plus 1.
Mm-hmm. If I remember right.
A 12. Hey, I got 1 higher somehow.
Okay, the pair of you are stumped. However, you have deduced what kind of puzzles these are. They're blacksmith puzzles.
Oh, blacksmith puzzles.
I don't know what that is.
You ever seen those metal ringlets that you can, if you twist them just right, they come apart, but if you try to yank them in any other way except the right way, eventually snap them.
Mm-hmm.
Only in emergency room photos.
You get the point, though.
Yeah, I've never seen that before, but I can infer what you're describing.
So if you were to pull somebody else down here, you'd be able to solve this puzzle and get at Hephaestus. At the very least, though, you know what kind of puzzle this is.
Yeah, I guess we'll call up the others and be like, "Hey, help! We're stuck in the puzzle. We're stuck in a puzzle, and we don't have the Prima guide."
As I say, TLDR, we're gonna meet his hi Hephaestus, the person who built some of the weapons here. So we're gonna need some assistance.
You mean you couldn't do the one thing you needed to do?
We got through the first puzzle.
Did you try to look up the solution online?
No, that's cheating.
I bet the killer looked up the solution online.
Yeah, and they're an asshole.
Fine.
Listen, Daxon was raised IRPF, so like.
So here's kind of where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the crew, you can either come physically and help them out, or I will allow you both to make 2 more rolls. And I
Sensing
won't
your
tell.
butt.
Well, I'm not going to tell you what the difficulty is. I just want you to roll roll the difficulty as if it was just a D10. Okay?
Okay.
Because this point, you had enough time to get there. However, if both of you fail these rolls, it will be locked down and you'll have to try again later. And you will have to face a new riddle.
Mm-hmm.
Either that or find some way of getting Hephaestus out of his hole. Take your pick.
Well, are either of you too patient?
The doctor's patient.
Daxon is relatively patient, so he'd be willing to wait for the others.
And do you believe the other 2 members of your party are any more intelligent than you are?
Oh, Daxon knows that at least somebody in the party is smarter than he is. He's a
Yes,
beat
but
cop,
is
for
that
God's
somebody
sake.
not already there? That's the key question, is do you believe the other 2 members of your party are smarter than you?
Good question. Probably. Let's see. Just call up Cecily. Hey, how's your logic score?
But seriously?
No.
Really, you're going meta on this one?
No.
Do I look like a skill monkey to you?
No, you look like a skill chicken.
Fair.
Somewhere Son Goku is mad.
No, or a monkey named Goku is angry.
Since we haven't met him yet, he can be as mad as he wants to.
He's going bananas.
That's speciesist.
Anyway, waiting for the others to show up, which is
Yep,
Okay.
might as well.
Okay.
Okay, it takes them a minute or 2, but eventually they get there.
so many updates on your end.
A lot, but what's holding you up?
A
It's a black-
door.
And I show the puzzle. It's a blacksmith puzzle.
Okay, Now here's the time. I'd like to Magoo this.
Okay. I will allow it.
Okay. Alright, so I'm guessing this is Mind Exert and Logic.
Correct.
And difficulty of...
I'm gonna give it a 2. Well, hey!
Wow, very nice.
What do you mean you're having trouble with this? Isn't it just this one? And he's just going to
Somehow-
randomly touch somewhere on the screen.
Somehow, Nusig, as he pokes it, the first one falls apart.
Eh,
He then drags his finger, says, "See, that was easy," and accidentally hits the other one, causing it to spin. As he jerks his hands away, once again he stops it, and it falls apart. The third one is hit by the pieces of the other two, and it falls apart as well. I'm not sure how that worked.
Oh, did I break it?
No, I think they're meant. It's said to be free, so
A happy ding opens, and another light lights up on the keypad. One more to go.
Daxon kind of lets out like a little of annoyance.
Now then, this last one seems to be a series of chemicals.
I start lining up.
One of them is clearly water, another one is carbon. Those two are easy to pick out. But the rest of them are a little bit weird, and some of the symbolism is a little off. It's not that it's wrong, but I'm going to need 2 different rolls. 1, to figure out what the chemicals are. 2, to figure out what is being talked about. And it's accompanied by a small riddle. So this is the ugly one. Mind, body, soul. What am I missing?
Mind, body, soul. What am I missing? So what's the first roll?
This is going to be a mind exert logic or a mind perceive logic. It could also be a whatchamacallit.
Science.
Yes, it could also be a science.
I'm gonna roll science then. So basically I have the same thing. Since I have a boot in science. Oh, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Orange Jesus just loves fucking with me.
Is just sitting there staring at it, and he
Well,
just gets the
You
giggles
get a
as you
few of
read.
them right, and you're able to pick out that there are a total of 26 chemicals in here. But you can't make heads or tails of some of the combinations. They don't seem to make any sense. It's not that you don't know what they are. It's that you don't understand what it's supposed to be talking about. What do you combine with all of these? Like, what the hell is saltpeter? Why do we bother with that?
Just to ask, is is Arcane the only person who has points in science?
Yeah, I only have like 2 points in science.
Well, I didn't say how many points. I said, are you the only one who has a point in science?
Daxon does not have science.
Cecily neither.
Are you proficient in science?
I only have a boon. No points.
Yeah, points in science.
Well,
Basically, I just got crapped out roll.
Well, you could always logic it out.
Yeah, I'll logic that too.
Yeah, I'll take a shot at it. Maybe I've recognized some of the ingredients. I mean, for all we know, it could just be the recipe for peanut butter.
Well, the big thing that you need to remember is that you're supposed to be answering the question at the bottom. What is missing? Mind, body, or soul? And the chemicals will tell you which one's missing.
Alright, so you do science, I do logic. Alright. Here's hoping for logic. Come on. Good rolls, please. Just hit it.
Just under, actually. 15
Just under.
doesn't. Unless I'm misreading.
Nope,
Nope,
you
16.
need to hit 16.
16 is the target number, yep.
Yeah!
Just under. Okay.
I'll take a stab at it. I'm pretty sure the answer is peanut butter. What's the difficulty? Is it a 3 or a 2?
It's a 2.
Okay, I'm gonna have to logic this one because science would only kill me.
Just under it. That's really. Oh!
Okay,
So-
this is a Magoo. I'm gonna say it's
I
peanut
have
butter.
to say it's a Magoo. You say peanut butter, and then you realize that that's not an acceptable answer. It doesn't work like that. Frustrated, because you're absolutely certain that this is peanut butter, you lean on the keypad over the answers. You look at the others. You believe this? It's clearly peanut butter. Your elbow happens to land on soul, and a happy ding opens. And doors will open before you.
Wow. Wait, salt?
Soul.
Oh, soul. Right.
As the door opens, the puzzle comes together to form a human being, but it is hollow. Missing
Oh,
its center.
Oh.
interesting.
The chemicals in question now make sense. They're an incorrect form, but a very ancient form of what they believed were the chemicals necessary to build a human being.
A human.
At least that's what it said. It's some part of alchemy bullshit. Everyone knows it was pseudoscience nonsense. It wasn't real.
Yeah. Besides, we all know if Soul had really been on that chemical sheet, we would have spotted it. I mean, they were just missing the monosodium glutamate.
I don't think that's a word. Well,
It is a word.
that's the joke. Well, you are approached by the weasel in question, who slowly claps her hands. Well, you didn't cheat. You brought back up, but that's not cheating. I don't know how you did it, but you did it.
Oh, I think your puzzle's broken because the answer's supposed to be peanut butter, but it didn't like that answer. And when
No,
I
it's
switched
the
the first,
soul.
the second, hey,
Well, hold up.
Be quiet.
Big whale. It's not my puzzle. You're gonna have to talk to Hephaestus about his broken puzzle. I don't care less. Now comes the third part. You've gotten through the door. Stay conscious. Good luck. Either way, I'm gonna go take a look at that data. Hopefully he'll talk to you about your equipment nonsense. And they wander off to go fulfill their end of their bargain.
Oh,
Monk,
cool.
I have come to bargain.
Hopefully this isn't going to involve us getting killed endless amounts of times for implied centuries.
no, that's
Okay.
only in Seb's main group.
Oh.
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 I feel a lot of sorrow coming out from somewhere. Some tiny rodent is crying.
No.
Now then, As you come into the docking area, you notice that it's strewn about with a wide variety of equipment and weapons, armor, some half-built, some built entirely. There's an elevator at the back end of the room. You can only surmise that this is where you need to go.
To the elevator.
You go into it. As you climb higher, an immense amount of heat begins to wash over your body. Move over here, please.
Well,
Arcane. Over here.
I'm
I'm a pingin'.
I'm not seeing a ping.
not seeing it.
Back
Are you on
to
the right-
door?
Oh. Door. Oh, door.
Yeah, I think you might be on the wrong layer or something, Rage, because I can't see any pings.
Let me fix it. Wink wonk.
There we go.
There we go. You're
Yay.
on the wrong layer.
Anyway, an intense amount of heat begins to wash over you. It's not the kind of heat that you experienced inside of Lord Thoth's deserts. No, this is 100% the heat of an engine room, of a forge. It smells of molten metal, grease, and a
And
few
sweat.
other things you're not quite sure of. I did not say that. Interrupt me. Not, sir. Punk. You also begin to hear the loud sounds of machinery. It sounds essentially like the industrial age threw up in the room you're entering. See a large hulking figure, at least taller than Nusig, hunched over an anvil. And repeatedly, rhythmically, you hear the pounding of a hammer on steel.
Just to minor chime in, I'm not the tallest person. I'm not the biggest person in the group.
No, but you're certainly the widest.
Hey,
Wow, harsh.
Wow.
how am I the widest? I have a body of 0.
I like teasing.
Exactly.
You're a
Like-
whale. It's a joke.
That's not cool, man. Dolphins
Get
have
over it.
feelings too.
Cetaceans have feelings too, damn it. Alright. Well, you're in there. Now, what do you do?
Watch them work for a brief moment and kind of look them over. Like, what do they look like? What's their what species? What's their aesthetic?
You can't
Uh,
tell. They look like they're metal, though. They're hunched over and facing away from you.
I kind of step forward a bit and say, face this.
He turns around, and suddenly his true bulk is seen. It's a bull, but not like one you've ever met. His arms are easily as thick as some of your waists. You don't even want to imagine the amount of power inside of him. Eyes blaze, and once they see you, they narrow. He snorts smoke out of his own nostrils. Whatever he was working on, he sets aside. And faster than you might think he's capable, he hurls his hammer, and it smashes into the wall next to you, making a large dent.
Okay.
Eep.
I just stand there and just not surprised.
Daxon kind of flinches back a little bit and takes a defensive posture.
Is the hammer like stuck in the wall?
It's stuck.
I'm gonna try tapping it to see how stuck it is.
I'm sorry. Cecily draws her weapon. That was clearly an attack.
He bellows out in a deep voice that sounds vaguely not quite unlike his own anvil. Who are you? What do you want? How did you get in here?
We answered your puzzles.
What do you mean we?
We're here to ask questions, and then we will leave.
You what? Another billow of smoke streaks out of his nostrils. Nobody's answered my puzzles. Not in 30 years. I must have had the easy. What kind of questions?
The ones that regard equipment and the Naginata.
Members of the Pantheon have been murdered, and we've been hired to investigate. We're here to do a job, and then we're here to leave.
He shouts over you. Who is it that's dead?
Nordrum.
Norun and Shaylun.
Nordrun. He deserved it, the cocky. Shit. I never did finish her armor. Well. He taps a toggle that's seemingly too tiny for his beefy fingers. The answers were given. You earned the right to enter my forge. Take a seat.
Are there any chairs nearby?
There are metal stools.
That works
He
enough for me.
claps his hands in a metallic sound, and the hammer comes flying back across the room into his fist. I made the hammer. Neat, isn't it?
Very.
I heard about some ancient human god, Thor, who had a hammer that would come back when called upon. I wanted that, so I made it.
So what you're telling me is this guy is actually just Adam Savage on steroids?
Correct. That is 100% correct.
Like full of testosterone and roids.
Yes.
You don't know who killed Nordrum.
No,
Sorry.
we have.
If we did, sir, we would not have to bother you.
Fair. Sorry for the ruffled feathers. I don't like other people. They ruin my work. They use it for things that aren't fun.
Such as murder.
Exactly. How'd they kill Nordrun?
Spear.
By using spear.
Oh, yes, a spear, fine. But how? Did they get him in the eye? Did they jam it down his throat?
The latter.
Ah, of
And,
course.
Daxon will kind of give the general gist in fairly clinical, to the point terms of how both of them were killed.
He snorts. The smoke is beginning to annoy you, but at least it's not getting into your faces. Well, I can't say I'm surprised. Shaylung was always too vulnerable. Temple, and Nordrun was always too proud of his fire breathing. I can do that too, but you don't see me doing it all the time. Smoke's just a byproduct, don't mind it. Well, here's the long and the short. I can look up when the equipment in question was taken out. I can tell you right down to which one was used. But it's gonna take me a moment, and I don't like it when my equipment's used. I owe you. He noticeably cringes as he says those words. Bring him to justice, and I'll owe you more so. A craftsman always takes care of his work.
Too bad your craft is used to slay the Pantheon.
Some of them deserve it. That's beside the point. I'll message you when I have what you need to know. In the meantime, are you in the market for replacement limbs? We've been working on a new arm. You wanna see?
I'll take a look at it.
For the first time, he seems genuinely happy to have another person inside his forge, and he grabs you by the shoulder in a hand that's easily bigger than your head. I'm thinking of putting a grenade launcher, mini ones, in the knuckles. None of this open up the palm nonsense. That's too predictable and traditional. He could easily rattle on for an hour. Are you really gonna humor him?
Sure. I mean, Daxon's into tech. Yeah, doesn't have any cybernetics, but you know, Daxon is kind
this
of a.
might be a
Daxon
good
is-
chance to remove Daxon from a place where he won't be leaving if you let him.
Daxon is going to use. I'm going to politely leverage my communication and charisma skill proficiency and quirks to essentially humor him to the best of my ability within the time frame that we have.
Okay. I will need a communications roll. It's gonna be 1 because it's on a topic he's really happy to talk about.
Okay, and I know we're not doing tool bonuses, but my charisma quirk is a tool bonus. Do I still get the
It'll
bonus
add the
from that?
bonus on top of your standard bonuses. I'm just gonna
Okay, cool. So I have a boon in communication. I have 2 ranks. I have 1 in community exert, and then +3 from charisma. So that'd be what? D12 plus 4?
Correct. I think.
So 2d12 plus 4.
Yeah, 15. Not great, but not terrible.
Eh. While you were able to humor him, and he's more than happy to talk to you, you don't seem to have gained anything from the conversation. Aside from the fact that you now know he, despite his intentional self-isolation, he is completely up to date on all of the latest cybernetic tech and trends, and he loves working on cogs. You also realize that technically he is one. Technically.
Huh. He's a cog, not a vector?
Technically.
Interesting.
Technically.
So he's what a quote-unquote bioprobe is to a vector, essentially.
To a cog, yes.
Okay, neat.
So basically, he's a cog that's gone super advanced, and if you take him out of it, he'd be considered a weapon of war very quickly.
Alright. Well, Daxon spends, because of the role, say that Daxon accidentally spends a little bit too much time geeking out about tech, but midway through when he realizes that he isn't going to be able to politely excuse himself, he sort of gestures to the other of like, go ahead, I got this.
Alright. Well, Daxton's gonna be a while. The rest of you, where are you headed?
First out of here.
This heat is unbearable.
Yeah.
Actually kind of likes it, but then again, like, he's kind of a hyena, so, desert dweller.
Yes, we get it, we get it. You and your best robot buddy are having a abrasive moment.
Also, I have grizzled, so I get to ignore environmental conditions. So we're just gonna have our bromance moment and geek out about stuff.
Like hardcore romancing.
I'd like to note that only once we're back in the elevator will Cecily actually put her gun away. And
He's not.
she's also still grumbling about the heat. And yes, earlier she did complain about the cold.
Well, she is a feather girl, so yeah. No pun intended.
And also, only once they're in the elevator and out of hopefully earshot, there will be comments along the lines of, "That's not how you make things. You print them."
It's the Empyrean. They do things old school.
So the old school sucked. How are you supposed to know that it's proper? You just hit it with a hammer, please.
Hit it with a hammer.
That's barbaric.
I'm so glad that she's saying that out of his earshot.
Hey, she may have that opinion, but she's not stupid.
Hey, at least he didn't choke the chicken.
Wow.
Could you please stop comments like that, especially when they're completely unrelated and out of context? Okay, well, what's next? It was recommended to us that we should talk to Lady Skilla next. Well, personally, I wanted to talk to Chief Dark Sky, but Hank suggested to talk to Lady Skilla first, who was apparently a bit more nice.
Amenable.
Or at the very least, likely to not try to kill you.
That too.
Alright, give me one moment. Okay. Alright, there we go.
Ooh.
Map of Skilla.
Oh, I don't like those footprints.
Those footprints are very worryingly big, yeah. Very nice map, though.
Yeah, that's pretty.
I just hope the water isn't too cold.
Looks like it'd be a nice vacation spot.
What's too cold?
The water, I hope it's not too cold.
Oh, right, because your body.
Oh. As you enter this new area, you find that it's, well, like everything else in this ruddy place, thematic. This one seems to be very intentionally aquatic. Admittedly, it's an understandable decision. But, what draws your attention is that, it's not nearly as ancient, quote-unquote, as the others. The more modern and technological is more obviously visible. So there's this odd juxtaposition of current day technology mixed in between some very ancient. And the whole thing ends up looking rather slapdash and hacked together. You're not quite sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Maybe a bit of both.
Possibly. Also, you have never seen so many aquatic-based vectors in your whole freaking life. They are literally everywhere.
Well, it is a bit of a home front for them. So I guess we'll try and talk to Lady Skilla, I guess.
Cecily is looking around and saying, okay, this could get a problem. I got flying lessons when I was a kid, not swimming lessons.
It won't be that bad. There are boats over there.
So, what are you gonna do?
Find somebody who looks like they know something. Oh, wait, isn't that the jellyfish?
Well spotted! Yes, that is the jellyfish you remember from Lady Kuzunoha's place. You gonna go say hi?
Yeah, I think that would probably be the best idea.
One. This one?
She at least knows who we are.
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
When she sees you, she seems a little bit startled. But not necessarily in a pleasant fashion. We're just surprised that you're here. Ah, I remember you. I don't think I got to properly introduce myself. I'm Narissa. And you are?
Dr. Lucifer. This is my companions, Usig, Cecily, and Daxon.
It's a pleasure to meet you. What brings you to our corner of the Empyrean? Not many people come to the depths.
Well, we were hoping to gain an audience with Lady Scylla, as we were advised.
By whom?
Hephaestus.
No.
No, he didn't send us here. A librarian under Thoth's domain. Hank?
Oh, Henry!
Henry.
Oh, he's so sweet. Yes, he goes by Hank with his friends. He must like you if he told you to call him that. Yeah, Henry's a sweet boy. Of course. If he's sending you along, it's probably important. Lady Skilla probably won't want to be interrupted, but, if we can convince Levias that it's important enough, he could probably take you.
There's always a catch, isn't it?
Oh, it's not so much a problem so much as if we can convince him to pry away from his alcohol. It's a day off.
Yeah, I can see why too much of it would make a person stay off rather difficult.
Oh yeah, it's just he's the only one who can give permission for anyone going to Lady Skilla's island. Except for, the bigger ups. Have you met Leviathan? The
Not
other one.
yet.
Leviathan's a pleasant boy. I say boy. I really ought not to. Technically, he's old enough to be my father. You see that whirlpool way out in the distance off the beach?
Yes.
That's where Leviathan is. See, one of his other jobs is to make sure that the draining system, which is that right there, is functioning properly. We need it a little bit more aesthetic. Anyway, I should probably go get Leviathan. See if we can get him. If you'd follow me along the dock.
Sure.
She leads you along, and while the boards beneath your feet click, and like you'd expect wood to, you get the sense while standing on it that it's far denser than any natural wood. It's probably printed just to look like that.
So it's basically made to support large vectors.
Oh,
From what you can tell, it seems pretty hefty.
that's at least reassuring.
You come up to what obviously seems to be some sort of tavern or pub, something. It looks to have been constructed from the back end of a full-sized ship. Though you're not sure if that's legitimately what it was built out of, or if it's just been made to look like that. Sure enough, close to the front, you see a whale. Marissa points to him. That's him. He's napping. You want to see if we can wake him up?
Sure.
Okay. Would the biggest of you mind grabbing his arms, and the rest of us will grab his legs?
Okay.
Trust
This
me,
doesn't
it's the
sound
only
like
way to
something
wake him up. So I'm gonna need athletics and body exert checks from all of you who are participating.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, and of course I'm probably not here for this.
Oh, you're trying it with your bromance.
Yep.
What's the difficulty on this?
Okay.
Just roll a d10. I don't
Indeed.
necessarily want. I'm not trying to set you guys up to fail here. Honestly,
Well, we
I
should
kind of
do
want to
that.
see you succeed in this.
Just a D10. Okay.
Mhm. Okay. Now, if you guys add any athletics bonuses that you happen to have,
Nope.
I have a. Check my sheet.
Nope, not here.
Nothing.
how about you, Sig?
0 in athletics, 0 in body, no boon.
Okay. Alright.
I have a.
Alright. Altogether, then, you're able to do it. It takes a bit of maneuvering, but you're finally able to lift him. He's incredibly heavy. You're not so much lifting him off the ground as you are dragging him a little bit along. But sure enough, slowly but surely, you make it off to the side of the dock and roll him into the water. Almost immediately, he shoots back out, howling and bellowing, and a spout comes out the top of his head. And anyone who was standing a little bit too close to the dockside got more than a little bit wet.
Oh, great.
What?
You're
By
drunk.
thunder! Ooh. Ugh, the jelly. I have a name. You're more pain than you're worth. Aye. Alright. You want something, huh?
Yes, we would like to permission to talk to Lady Skilla.
And ye figure it was so important to roll me off the dockside?
No, that was her idea.
Of course it was. Sultan. Alright. I'll take you to see the lady. Be on your good manners. If the jelly figures it's important enough to wake me, and it's important enough for me to take a boat out. You owe me. Jellyfish. He stumps loudly along the boardwalk. You're pretty sure he's heavier than he looks. Either that or getting into the water has made him put on weight. You're not sure.
Oh, he is a big guy.
Now, do you want the underwater route or the overwater route?
Okay, I look over to both New Sig and Cecily. Which do you prefer?
Over,
Whichever
please.
is the.
I can't breathe underwater.
Oh no, shit. I figured. I breathe pretty good down there. Really, it's just me holding my breath. But same goes. How about you, cousin?
Oh, just whichever one is less pretentious and safer.
That less
A practical
pretentious.
sort.
and
I
so forth.
respect that.
Probably.
The underwater route it is, then. It's a little bit more auspicious, but safer. Old Leviathan recognizes it a little bit better than the overboats. And if he's running about, or if Titanus is going out, we'll be fine either way. He stumps along further down the dock and motions towards a, unfortunately, small submarine. Now remember, it's a bit of a narrow space for so many, but it'll be fine. Hope you don't mind the smell of barnacle feet.
No.
Sure enough, you're able to pile into the submarine. It is a little bit cozy, as far as those quarters, but you also notice that there's windows lining the sides. And it does smell like fish, but other than that, it's quite pleasant. And the seats are comfy.
Is it a yellow submarine, though?
No. It's very
And
practical.
now I have that stuck in my head. Thank you.
It's very practical and has lights and lighting along the sides, so anyone can immediately recognize what kind of thing it is. Levius promptly explains that lighting is very important because they have a strong day-night cycle. Some of the vectors who live in this particular chunk of the Empyrean are more nocturnal than others. They don't have eyes adjusted for the brightness that most of us do. So, lighting is very, very important. And why you saw so many different lamps of a odd hue along the dockside and other places. It's to help make sure that those who, when they come up for their shore leave at night, quote unquote, they can differentiate the environment properly and know where they're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
In short order, you've gone down to the depths. As you go along, you see at least 3 different absolutely massive creatures in the water. One of them is treading along the bottom. It's a literal giant. You can't get any details because of the murkiness of the water, and you don't go close enough. But it seems to literally just be walking along the bottom of the quote-unquote ocean floor. Another one is the Leviathan, the plesiosaur-looking thing you had mentioned by Henry earlier. It doesn't go anywhere near you, but seems to be circling the whirlpool off to the southern portion of the ocean. And the last one is the biggest shark you've ever seen. It's the size. It's the size of a whale, at least. And no, we're not talking, oh hey, vector whale. No, like the orcas in Europa's ocean size. It's a biggin.
That's his name, Bruce.
No, it's not Bruce. His name is Maui. Rude.
Oh.
Over here, if you please.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, it's all good. I'm just letting you guys know where you're
Oh, excuse me.
headed to.
Let's
Okay.
see.
But shortly enough, you're led up to some marble stairs that are set as sort of a dock of sorts. Levias says he'll sit here waiting at the end of the dock for you when you're ready.
All right. Go then.
Well, let's go make a friend.
As
Oh, yeah.
you arise up to the plinth, you see what has to be a blip. She has way too many arms. And for that matter, too many legs.
I don't know why that's slightly funny. Just, ma'am, please, you have way too many arms.
She's like the wacky, fun fable arm woman.
Ma'am, do you have a license for that number of arms?
Oh, we're all gonna die.
No, just you.
As you approach, she stands up. She's not all that much larger than a standard vector, but with all those limbs, you're fairly certain that it takes an exceedingly strong brain just to coordinate them all. When she speaks, it reverberates, as if she's constantly underwater. It's almost pleasant, like a river. It's still disconcerting, though. Ah. I see you have made it to me. A pleasure.
The pleasure is ours.
You are Thoth's friends, are you not?
Word travels fast.
I may not have ears you can see, but they are everywhere.
So then, surely you might be able to. You might know why we're here.
Unfortunately, I do. Whom do you seek audience with? For surely it is not I.
Well, we actually, we could start with you, actually.
She uses 3 different tentacles to rest her chin and create a sort of stool for herself.
Well, we may not have been able. We have. Well, as you're aware, there's a killer on the loose who has slain 2 individuals already. Based on our research, we have reason to believe that this will potentially continue, and as such, we're trying to preempt the killer.
I see. Do you suspect any of mine to be on the chopping block?
Yes.
And who is it that you think might be Chum?
We are most worried about the two Leviathans. At least in your domain.
You think it has to do with the dragons, then?
It
Yes.
does seem like it.
I will tell them to be cautious. While our dear Leviathan does not wield the same power as I do, he is most certainly stronger than me. All the same, I shall warn them. And I shall have our night guards take careful attention. They are not injured. Maui would look forward to a challenge, though.
About that.
And the unfortunate truth is that a determined and skilled murderer is not deterred by strength. And
Of course not.
it seems like the individual in question is both.
Like any good hunters, take time to catch the right fish. A stubbornness of will. That said, I will make sure to warn them.
In addition, we're trying to figure out if there was any one individual who was... A better way to put it is, my opinion at least, is that the killer was intimately personal, if not close friends, with both of the deceased.
Nordrun had no friends. Compatriots, lovers, minions, but not friends. Even Perseus understood this.
Be that as it may, there was still somebody who knew enough about him to get close to anticipate his schedule.
Along with Shaylun.
Shaylun was probably a harder nut to crack. She's far more cautious, but she died in the temple, as Narissa had told. Pity. I would have loved to see the fox bitch gone. But I do not make the rules. Shaylung. A favored servant of Uzunoha. A key to Nordrun and Dark Sky. You will want to speak with him, will you not?
Yes, we definitely need to.
Need or want? I wonder.
Both.
I would say one is a more... I would say need is the better option.
We saw him briefly, and I would be lying if I said that I necessarily have any great desire to meet him.
Your caution is wise. Smell of sulfur and vaguely burnt feathers. I guess you have met our smith.
That we have.
He wasn't very happy with us.
He's never happy with anyone unless they express interest in his work.
Well, one of our companions is.
I appreciate your pity upon our cripple.
Cripple?
You see, he cannot leave. He is trapped in the Empyrean.
Why is that?
If it becomes too cold, his inner fire burns out. It is like his forge, perpetually lit.
Oh, that's why it was so hot.
Unless someone was to provide him a proper cage, that bird will remain in his current one.
Clearly, he just needs to find out that cogs can actually get transcendent implants. Not that any of us would have the ability to know that, but, well, just take the excitation implant with you wherever you go, and everything will be on fire forever.
Not helping.
No,
Just like I imagine if Faces is sitting in the room with all fire saying, "This is fine."
If you seek Dark Sky, there are three who I think might help you unravel this. Serpent, Spider, and Thunderbird.
Serpent, Spider, and the Thunderbird.
On sea, the Spider is even more efficient at rumor and thought gathering than I. The Serpent, no murderer, but the rules. And arguably the most dangerous, Thunderbird, Dark Sky. I think he will be the easiest to meet, the most difficult to get any worthwhile information from. It might be better served to have an audience with him and then speak with his people. You'll probably have to fight. I would suggest you choose your strongest warriors. Believe in a group is necessary. Rest assured, unlike Nordrun, whose doors are open to all, Dark Sky is a jealous god. Guards his people, his secrets, and his position jealously.
Well, jealousy can let you do. Well, jealousy makes your mind do rather questionable things.
If I was another member of our pantheon, I might have thought you were slighting our Lord, Chief Dark Sky. However, I understand. May the winds be fair for you. Good luck. If you excuse me.
One final question, Lady Scylla. Who do you think would stand the most to benefit if Dark Sky were, say, removed from the Pantheon?
Me? You see, I do not covet his realm. But if he was gone, I would have more control over the water and the Empyrean, and thus more control of the Empyrean as a whole. But he is a good neighbor, and fair. Never has he caused me any trouble. So I see no reason to cause him any. However, his lieutenants... There may be a power vacuum there. Like Cloud Strider or Sure Strike. The pair of them, they're your most likely liabilities.
Thank you.
Oh, and perhaps Zossel, the salamander. He's gentle enough, but wields much merit.
Okay.
nod.
Anything else, you guys?
No, that's it. I got the information I needed, and really, like, if the meta, I kind of want to tell her, don't incriminate yourself like that.
Yeah, at least she's very candid about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is kind of concerning, because that's like top tier levels of villainy, hiding out in plain sight.
That's a little meta, but at the same time.
Leave it to Starkovsky to jump at shadows. I love this. I love this side.
Hey, I jump at shadows because the last time I did that, it started bleeding.
Oh, from last game.
Anyway, let's get back on the submarine and head back, because we have a date with a Thunderbird, and
Now-
not even the fun one.
Or Cecily has a date with him.
Hey, come on now. By this time, Daxon, you have freed yourself from Hephaestus.
Aw.
By the way.
Last, you're probably never gonna get the smell of smoke out of your fur.
Oh well.
Also, I checked my toggle if the analysis is done.
It is. They sent you a message during the conversation with Skilla. So what they found is that it's a type of neurotoxin. It makes it difficult for the users to, for the people under the influence to exercise motor skills. It starts with finer motor skills, like, muscle control and the fingers and things like that. But it could also affect things such as glands that allow you to do other auxiliary functions. For example, it would probably make it difficult for the mind to send proper messages to a spitting cobra to spit their venom.
Or for a dragon to breathe fire.
Precisely. It's fairly fast acting, but once it works its way through the system, it leaves fairly quickly as well, with minimal lasting damage. Mostly, it's akin to a hallucinogen of sorts, but it's most definitely damaging, as an incredibly high concentration might outright kill someone or paralyze them for life.
So
Of course,
this
they
is
can always
very
just get
much
a new body.
this is very much a murderer's toxin, essentially.
Yes,
Or
or a subduer's, because in a small dosage, it's able to make it difficult for more dangerous animals to fight back. And as is known from certain records, this is a toxin developed by none other than Chief Darksky, who is the Empyrean's resident biologist and
Wow.
geneticist.
Interesting.
While he's very much a warrior and prefers hostile takeovers and such, he's also a scientist, and many of the Empyrean's native animals that you won't find elsewhere in Seoul were designed and made by him.
So, on a scientist level, it's respectable.
Yeah, and like it said, in small doses, this is completely harmless. It simply makes it difficult to fight back and thus allows for the safe removal of more dangerous animals.
Interesting.
So the question is, who would have that type of power and authority to go on just 3 different domains at once?
well, that's
Hell,
why
then.
we're here. And now I definitely think we need to go speak with Dark Sky immediately.
You make your ways through the halls. You see Percival at one point. He doesn't engage you, though. He simply nods and waves to you. And it looks like he mouthed, "I hope it's going well," but it's kind of hard to tell in the crowd. Even though he's fairly tall, every now and again somebody's head gets in front of his face. Stop it.
Oh, I'll wave politely back. Continue on.
Whoa.
Bottom left corner.
Ooh, cool.
I'm kind of getting some Crash Bandicoot vibes.
I don't think I've ever played that game. Whoa, where are we? Oh my god, this map is
Oh,
huge.
we're right there.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Bottom left.
That is very nice.
Oh, Native America.
His name is Chief Darksky. What do you expect?
Wow.
Well, I mean, as long as we don't run into a talking tree, I guess we'll be fine.
I mean, you could.
I mean, we could, but, you know, she sees into the depths of your soul.
So, something that immediately stands out to you as you enter this biome is that it's one of the most varied in all places you've been to so far, and that it's the most full of animal life. It's also got plenty of vectors, but it has the largest population so far that you've seen of just straight up animals.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And they're not like, oh, just a few here and there. No, there's quite a few all over the place.
And these aren't like animal vectors pretending to be animals, longbow style. No, these are actually just like animals. Correct?
Correct.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Well, Daxon's going to take a moment to orient himself and see if he can't see any familiar faces.
Well, you do see a few people you may have bumped into before, but you don't see anyone you particularly know. It seems to have been the population seems to have been separated into three distinct groups. You have the farming and gathering and fishers down in the bottom. Up towards the top, you have the hunters and what you're going to guess are the rangers, the people who make sure that the animals in question have steady populations and don't get too out of control. Then up top, the Chief's Chosen, as they're referred to by some of the people who you happen to ask. These are those who are his Chief Darksky's personal favorites, or those who have earned merit to live in the upper reaches of the canyon with him. Admittedly, the biome isn't enormous, but it's still more than large enough to account for a pretty sizable population of living creatures.
Mhm.
All right, so I guess head up
Yeah, looks like that.
and kind of be at least subconsciously ready for a possible. Oh goodness gracious, McGee! I should not be yawning. Any sort of possible tests or struggles that they impose on us. Daxon is kind of leery about this whole thing.
Yeah, especially given the most recent evidence.
As As you make your way through the village, some of the victors remind you that in order to ascend to the upper reaches of the bluffs and canyons, you will have to fight, even if you are going by invitation. No one approaches the roost without permission, and most certainly not without proving themselves.
Oh boy.
Okay.
So hey, who has ranks in CQC and body?
I have 1 rank in body. I have nothing in CQC.
Yeah, same here. So just imagining since Daxon has less than lethal rounds, him just getting annoyed and Indiana Jonesing this. Just halt!
Well, I
You
mean-
may not enter before you bang 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 bang.
I was going to say, nothing said we had to fight in a specific way.
That's true.
Yeah, but Daxon also didn't notice any GSWs in the medical center. He noticed sword wounds.
Well, yeah, but these people, if they challenge us to a fight, it's not our fault they brought a sword to a gunfight.
As you continue through the... Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's that was just a general groan off. I don't think it works like this. Carry on.
As you go through the village, you notice something. That while the various buildings look to be practically prehistoric, you realize quickly that the material they're made from, that's not just hide or some nonsense like that. It seems to actually be some sort of reinforced metal sheet. Kind of like, well, not unlike a hyper-dense form of aluminum foil that somehow seems to work.
Huh. It's almost like a emergency blanket material.
Kind of, but it most certainly doesn't look like it. It seems to carry some similar properties. As you may touch one of the homes, it doesn't feel like metal, but if you push against it, it's definitely hardened. So it has give, but you don't think that you could stab through it with a knife.
Mhm.
It almost looks armored.
Oh.
Of course, now looking at some of the size of some of the animals in the area, it starts to make sense once you realize some of these suckers are at least as big as 2 vectors standing side by side, and probably weigh about as much.
Yeah.
That's just the carnivores.
Well, does it look like anyone in particular is blocking our path as we head through the village?
No one stops you. You seem to know where you're going, so they don't bother you. A few give you curt nods or waves.
Which Daxon reciprocates.
Mostly you're seeing an almost barbaric way of living. They're literally skinning and then cooking the meat of an animal on an open fire.
Oh yeah, Jackson remembers that one old documentary that got salvaged from Earth. What was it? Dances with Wolves?
I think you mean Dances with Humans.
Oh. Was that the one about the first wolf vector?
I don't know.
As you make your way out of the villages proper, you find yourself facing a large geyser erupting fairly regularly. You're going to go out on a limb and guess that that's part of the river, and that are probably part of the system that allows Scylla's depths to continue to function that way. You also realize that it was literally right above it. You had to take an elevator to get here.
Huh.
And so you suppose the river and the geyser are part of a pumping system that keep the water flowing throughout all of the Empyrean. But it's hard to tell.
Neat.
The mesa that you approach has a single rope ladder descending. Just large enough for a standard-sized vector to get up fairly easily.
Probably because the larger ones have wings.
Cecily is giving the ladder a brief look that kind of looks like the ladder personally offended her.
Just distrust and suspicion.
No, more like I dislike you and all your kind.
Well, hello, my old nemesis.
Ladders, my only weakness. How did you know?
An avian vector from atop of the mesa beckons you up.
All right.
Oh,
It's a
had
little
to give it a
rickety,
bloody go.
but definitely holds. And as you get the rope, you realize that it's actual rope. Like, it has imperfections. Not the kind that you'd see with printed rope. This was handmade.
Oh, Dexon trusts it even less now.
The avian in question stops you from progressing by holding up a single wing. You realize he has no hands.
Huh.
Just two wings sprouting from where his arms would have been. He holds them almost like a real bird would when he's not actively using them.
Mm-hmm.
You also notice that his legs are almost overly developed, and there's long, sharp talons on them.
They call them iron legs.
I am Sure Strike. Do you seek to ascend further to attain the heights of the roost?
Yes.
Indeed, we do.
You seek an audience with Lord Darksky.
He lets out a cawing laugh. Then you must face me or one of my fellows.
Like one-on-one or all at once?
If you believe you must fight me all at once, then I will fight with deadly force. If in single combat, I would express mercy.
One-on-one it is then.
I think there has been enough death already.
What are the
I did not
rules?
say I would kill you. Simple. Knock me off the mesa.
Okay, now I really want to Indiana Jones him. 'Cause I think that'd be hilarious.
That or a flowing flower palm.
What?
It's okay. It's from something else. It's basically a knockup.
Oh.
You
Yeah, no,
noticed that?
I have no ranks in CQC.
You need that, but I can still fight with the best of them.
You must understand me. When I say knock me off the mesa, I mean I must hit the ground.
Ah.
Well,
If I do not touch the ground, you have failed.
And only if one of us knocks you to the ground, then we can all pass, right?
Indeed. So, if you'd prefer, we can try another trial.
What other trial would that be?
If, for but a moment, you must live as we do. You must hunt. You must hunt a dangerous animal that, unlike me, will not know to express mercy and will try to kill you. You must kill it and then eat it. Not all of it. Most of it will be shared with the rest of the family. This is admittedly the probably safer decision.
And how long would it take?
It all depends on how skillful a hunter you are,
Group
or
huddle.
how strong a warrior.
Okay, so either one of us, either we do this the hard way, or we potentially miss out on preventing the third murder.
Okay, 2 points. First, I don't think we have time for this hunting nonsense. And secondly, I am not eating anything that's not printed. Just so no. That's there's a reason we don't do that anymore.
Dexon kind of scrunches up his muzzle and doesn't disagree. He seems kind of torn.
No,
Okay.
I'm not going to forbid anyone who wants to do that. You know, and these animals were probably created here. It's probably perfectly safe, but still, no.
I don't like killing anything or anyone, so I'd rather deal with this problem head on.
I'd rather just go fight. I don't want to. Let's just say we don't have enough time just to do the hunting business so a third murder can happen.
Also, I have an idea. I think I have an idea. I definitely have an idea. And he motions for them to come in closer so he can whisper. And hopefully not let their opponent know the plan. All you have to do is hug him and hold him until he hits the ground.
No, that's stupid.
just grab him and jump off him first. I actually kind of like this plan.
Frankly, I am no use in close combat. Any of my teachers at the academy will confirm that. But I'm almost tempted to say that I would be the right one because he needs to hit the ground. He can fly, and out of our group, I'm the only one who can fly as well.
I mean, I could just shoot him. I mean, I have stun rounds, but you know.
Just shoot him in the balls. That'll get him the.
Oh God!
Yeah, no, I mean that was basically my plan was to just tase him into unconsciousness and then kick him off the ledge.
I don't think that'll
you.
win us many points, though.
Technically, we failed the contest because he isn't awake to score us.
I have
Yeah.
the. Maybe we should check the terms of the combat first, because I somehow don't think he would let us use guns.
Daxon is gonna kind of smirk, break his part of the huddle, and say, "So, say we fight. He kind of gestures towards his holstered gun. Says, say I knock you out. No one around to score you. What happens then?"
First, you have to actually hit me with your toy.
Okay, now I
Second.
really want to shoot him.
Most important. It doesn't matter if I am conscious or not. The others will know if I hit the dirt. And third, surely you're not that much of a coward.
I'm not a brave man or a coward. I just use the tools in hand.
I hate to tell you. Here, you're either brave, or you are not one of us. We live with these creatures. They are part of us, and we are part of them. We die, we go to them. They die, they go to us. It's a cycle that was brought about naturally on Earth for millennia. Vector can change this cycle. Dark Sky believes some of that should be changed back. And I agree.
Out of character, now I just want to. Now I just really want to try the trial, like, as a point of debate. Just like, all right, sure. Try and punch me. I have a gun.
The one time we don't have a pulse head in the group is the time we need it.
Yeah,
Well, either way, we need to end here.
this is
Yep.
fair.
Yep.
Cliffhanger. Literally.
That was needed. Okay.
So how much XP do we get?
Nothing. You get nothing. You lose.
Oh. Yo,
I'll go
Lowe's.
be an-
Good
I'll go be
day,
an
sir.
asshole.
Good day, sir. 10 XP.
And we hit our first landmark. 10 XP.
Yay.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Yep. Get it at 250 XP.
Oh, I guess I gotta read the rules on Landmark then.
Yeah. And I think that is all she wrote, my dudes.
Yeah, that was fun.
All right.
Just need to figure out what I get on a landmark.
Unless there's anything else, I shall stop the stream.
Bye, viewers.
See you on
Fare thee
next
well,
session.
viewers.
Bye, viewers.